Input processing instruction. Now, what is input processing instruction? Input processing instruction is a way to teach so that you encourage the learners to process the information about the second language that you are giving. Input processing instruction has often been compared with traditional instruction, that is a traditional way of holding classrooms. Now, there have been several studies since 1993 that actually sort of support the argument that the instruction that is geared towards information processing of the learners or input processing of the learners helps the learners more than those learners that are being subjected to traditional learning or traditional instruction. So we said that processing instruction is often compared with traditional instruction. Now, having said that, one needs to keep in mind that more often than not, such comparisons are made very generally. So they don't take into account at times the age of the learners, the difference between the context, the level or the language proficiency level of the learners. These things are at times not compared. So the differences between the two contexts, between the two learners, between the specific strategies that are being used might affect the results that are being made. Having alerted you to this kind of caution, it is actually said that processing information instruction is somehow superior. So let us look at in more detail what processing instruction is. Processing instruction is actually in the classroom setting, if we talk about that, it begins by giving some information about how the language works, and this is followed by the teaching of strategies to process the information. So the learners are actually taught certain strategies to process the linguistic information they are being given, and then this is followed by some more structured input. What happens now in a traditional instruction classroom? In classrooms where traditional instruction is given, there is this initial explanation of a grammatical item or a linguistic form. So the teacher often explains what the linguistic item is, and then this is followed by some mechanical activities. Mechanical activities are activities which might comprise of repetition. So you might give the learners a task in which they are reusing the same language while they talk to each other. Or mechanical activities usually are activities which are out of context. So when we as teachers often give them these fill in the blanks or these isolated sentences in which they have to pick and choose and to test their understanding of the language form that we have taught them, then these are mechanical activities. And later on, some of us also use communicative activities towards the end of the class, some open-ended activities at the end of the class. More often than not, the more focus remains in traditional classrooms on mechanical practice of the linguistic form. Now, the research says that those learners who are in classrooms where processing instruction is given, they are superior, they perform better than those learners who are in classrooms where traditional instruction is given. especially in terms of interpretation tasks, that is making sense of what is being said. However, there was not much difference in production tasks, that is when they were writing or speaking, there was little difference. But in receptive interpretation tasks like listening and reading, there was more improvement. We have Wong's study 2003, which revealed that learners in the classrooms where processing instruction was being given to them somehow functioned differently. That is, they used different strategies and they performed differently. It's almost like they used a different path to learning than those learners who were in the traditional classrooms. Finally, some activities proposed in processing instruction, it is worth to remember that they are quite similar to the traditional instruction classrooms. The only difference at times is between the type of activities that are given towards the end, that is at the production stage of the classroom teaching.